is use the river as a dumping ground. So we've been highly critical of that, and also critical of the Center for the CSIR, because they have not been open and transparent with the results. They were responsible. The CSIR is responsible for analyzing of all the water quality that enters the ocean, but also on the estuaries of these rivers and canals. And Umbilo River, as you rightly know, where several of these groups have now spoken out about it, is one of the biggest nursery. It leads into the biggest nursery in the Durban harbor of marine life, as well as bird life. Umbilo River at the estuary has for several years been the nursery of many fish species that are able to grow in those estuaries, but also on the sandbank in the Durban harbor. Now, this river has deteriorated to a large extent because of government's lack of doing anything about the pollution in the river. And so many other rivers, government has failed to do its oversight role. The Department of Water Affairs and Sanitation that's responsible to ensure that conservations are set up, to ensure that the necessary resources are provided to remove the alien vegetation, to ensure that there's a lot of action in regard to the polluting industry, have failed to carry it out. Mm-hmm. Currently, we have one of the other rivers, the Amzinyama Canal, where there's huge amounts of oil dumped. We've had to go and get the Green Scorpion in Pretoria to come down and investigate, because the local authority is just a failure. And they've done nothing about it. Even when they have found who is the culprit, they have taken no action to prosecute. And yet the laws in the country give them all the responsibility and all the mechanisms that they can prosecute polluting companies, but also any individual that's dumping in these rivers. Because the rivers are life. We get 80% of our oxygen from rivers and oceans. You're destroying all that there, and in its place you put in toxins and sewage. And as a result of that, you're finding that there's high levels of E. coli in some of the estuaries. What's more important is that thousands of people fish off the river estuaries, fish in the Durban harbor, fish in the ocean, and they are eating polluted fish. They are eating fish with high levels of mercury in it. And there are no signs to protect society or to inform society of the dangers and the risks. Even in most of the estuaries that lead directly into the ocean in South Durban, there are no signs that tell people you should not bathe there, you should not be drinking the water, you should not be praying there, that those beaches and rivers should be out of reach of everyone. But instead, we have a situation that has been developed over the years and getting worse, might I say. Mm-hmm. Sooner or later, the rivers that give us all the water, give us all life, will no longer be there because government doesn't allow it. Not only do we see illegal sand mining taking place there, but we also see illegal dumping. And even though we can bring that information to government's attention, there is no action and no thing on the behalf of government to deal with the problem.
Desmond, speaking about bringing the matter to the government's attention, particularly the Department of Water and Sanitation. But before we go there, now the municipality of eThekwini should have a maintenance plan and a budget to ensure that there is constant maintenance and to ensure that no illegal dumping or mining takes place. And according to the eThekwini municipality spokesperson, according to him, the city is aware of the issue and in the process of addressing the matter. But surely nothing has happened. Why?
This has been because since everybody was happy with the World Cup in South Africa. What they didn't realize is that most of the budgets allocated for maintenance of the sewage works, the sanitation works, the water works were shifted to building the big stadiums, and the price escalated threefold. So the price of the stadiums went from 1.something billion to 2.7 billion. And that had to result in something else suffering. And as a result, the breakdown of the sewage works and water works continues to happen all the time. And what happens? They dump it into the river. The river has become a dumping ground because of that, because they just don't have the money to maintain all the sewage works, nor do they employ skilled contractors to do the work. Herein lies the problem. The city, this used to be a proud city with all the skills, with highly qualified people. All the equipment was maintained and up to date. We're now suffering the burden of huge overrun expenses, huge corruption, no accountability. Auditor General has spoken about the amounts of money running into billions that cannot be accounted for. So you can see why we're suffering with all the waste being dumped into the river because of the plastic bag scenario where there was huge corruption. The same thing happened with sanitation and all the other departments, where monies were shifted from there into people's deep pockets. Mm-hmm. And so we are facing, and unless we have a society that's active, that's prepared to stand up and prepared to fight for the service delivery, we will continue to cry foul and nothing will be done. Because those in authority at the moment are not prepared to do anything. Why does it take us so long? What will it take them to do something about the situation they can see unfolding before their very eyes? And that is what we can't fathom and we can't understand. They know what's going on. They drag their feet in doing it. Yet, when it's them to have a party or to steal the money, they use Section 36 of the council by where they can take the money without accounting for it. I think that we have been left shortchanged, and the political parties in Durban are not standing up for their rights and holding the executive oversight, holding them accountable. And I think therein lies the problem. We should not be having problems with sewage, with sanitation, with water, with electrical, but we're having these problems hugely, and these things are affecting not only ordinary people, it's affecting the paid ratepayers, the paid people that are paying for lights, water, and sanitation every day. We pay for it in our bill every month, but there's no service to guarantee to fix the problems when we call upon the city. Mm-hmm. So we have a city that has abandoned its responsibility, and unless we have the national government intervening and dealing with it, we are not going to get to the bottom of it, because there's so much of money that has been taken, so much of money that's been used and not accountable for it. And then this is just the tip of the iceberg. This will continue to happen. This is one of the many service delivery issues that have not been maintained and not been challenged, and nothing's been done about it. I think time that we as citizens start to wake up and start to act, because it's in our interest, in our family's interest, in our community interest, and our children's interest to stand up against any atrocity that have taken place. And the river and the marine life and everything else is part of all life. And if we don't stand up for all that, I'm afraid society is going down, 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 and we won't recover. Many years it will take us to recover, because we just don't have the resources to do that.
Certainly. Desmond, we're going to have to leave the conversation here, but thank you for your time this morning, and we wish you all the best.
Thanks a lot, man. Thank you.
That was, of course, Desmond Dissar, the coordinator for the South Durban Community Environmental Alliance, talking about environmental activists of the Umbilo River community in Durban. And they are now calling the eThekwini municipality to take urgent action to improve the water quality of the river. And according to these activists, recent tests have shown very high amounts of E. coli bacteria, and some strains of which can be harmful to people relying on the river. And shockingly, for the past 12 years, now, I mean, that's a very, very long time, residents and environmental groups have been complaining about the foul, smelly, foamy waters and unusual color of the river. And this is, of course, because of sewage issues as well as illegal dumping and mining.
Shimmer, sparkle, captivate. Nothing less than a masterpiece.